This is 2 months in a row where my wife has been bothered by the amount of television I have watched due to major sporting events. As many of you already know, I am a huge Olympic fan. Doesn't matter whether it's winter or summer, I love it. But as many of you as well may have stayed up to watch basketball yesterday as part of the NCAA tournament. And the thing about the NCAA tournament, everybody gets really excited that first week. You got 64 teams that people think have a viable shot. As a matter of fact, even Arkansas Pine Bluff people thought they might have had a shot at a national title. So there's expectations built up, excitement. Nothing's better than that first weekend of basketball. On that first afternoon, there were 5 overtimes. Can it get any better than that? Except if your team's on the losing side. You got these teams that everybody thought were going to win it all. Kansas, Kentucky. Well, they're not. Neither one of them. As a matter of fact, after Northern Iowa beat Kansas, there were actually people who said, they need a mulligan. They're the number 1 team. They should be able to get a second chance. But that doesn't happen. Our expectations didn't necessarily get met by this NCAA tournament. And one thing we can guarantee in this passage of Luke is that for the people in Israel, this was not their expectation. They did not expect their king to come in and to die on a cross. Their expectation is seen in the previous passage. I had a professor who would always say, in many of these cases, the previous passage leads into this one. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty obvious, but in this case, the previous passage leads into this one. Luke chapter 19, verse 11 says, while they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. This was their expectation. That now Jesus is here, he's the Messiah, he's the one who's going to become king, and you will be declared king since you are so close to Jerusalem. They're getting ready for this triumphal entry. It was building up in them. You were going to come in, you were going to overthrow Herod, you're going to take out Pilate, and before long you're going to take out Caesar, and you're going to rule the world. That is what they expected. But that's not what they got. Yes, he is the king of the whole world, but not in the way that they expected. Starts out this passage today by sending his 2 disciples to go get him a colt that has never been ridden. Just go to the village ahead of you and as you enter, you will find a colt tied there, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, why are you untying it, tell him the Lord needs it. So he was going to send them. He had to send 2 so that there'd be witnesses. Because it always required 2 people to be a witness and for it to stand up that it was true. That Jesus had told them, you are going to find this colt tied up and you're going to take it. It's for me. Never been ridden. Never been ridden. It had to be unused because it was a gift from God. In this case, it's showing that example that God requires our first fruits. God requires our best. And in this case, for the riding into the triumphal entry, it had to have been one that had never been ridden. It couldn't have been tainted in any way. And the authorization that Jesus gave, the Lord needs it, is a royal authorization. It's a kingly judgment that you must give it to us. Now, many of us may have been in the disciples' case, may have said something like, you want us to go and steal a donkey? You want us to just go and take it and you just need to give it to us? There's no way. But even if they grumbled along the way, they went. They responded because Jesus told them to go. And when they got there, there was the colt that had never been ridden, tied up. He said it was going to be.